Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Culture Kings Talk Show here. Yours truly, Ronald Smith, DJ Ron Stop. And we have the other two, Dorian and William Stokes, and they'll be on shortly. I want to thank y'all so much for allowing us to be a part of your Sunday afternoon. Happy Father's Day out there to you and yours. All right, and we want to give God all praise and honor and shout outs to all the fathers out there. Hey Ron, what's going on, bro? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling all right, Ron. Can't complain. I'm on this side of the grave, on this side of the prison fence. God's been good to me.
I like it. Amen. Exactly. You know what? Yeah. And so we got to count our blessings. And yes, regardless of what's going on in this world, all right, and our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to those who may be going through right now through either pandemic. Someone recently lost their mother from it and a father. So again, we send our thoughts and prayers out to you as well. Yes. Okay. Well, look, spread the word. Tell a friend. We are on live. Yes, Dorian Edwards is here. Yes. What's up there, Culture King?
Hey, man.
I'm God's mouthpiece.
Man, I'm just chilling,
Chilling.
Hey, you look like you just chilling.
Yeah, brother.
Chilling, man. Not like a villain. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Well, welcome. Happy Father's Day to you, sir.
Man, appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. Definitely. And happy Father's Day to you guys, too.
Exactly, man.
Thank you. God be the glory.
Thank to all of you guys, man. I was telling people black men get stigmas for being deadbeat dads. They just like to put that out there in the atmosphere, and that's the reputation that they give the black men. But I tell them, like, in my circles, the people I know personally are good dads. Like, I know a whole bunch of good dads, so I'm thinking, like, there has been a rise in that stature that black men have stepped up in that role, and I don't think we're getting the credit for that.
And we have to be intentional about exposing that. Yeah, go ahead, Dorian.
Well, I was going to also say too, man, that men in general have to be given credit for pouring into people at their appointed time. For me in my life, it wasn't just my family members. Sometimes it was somebody in the community. It might have been, somebody that just kind of looked out for me, maybe twice, but just giving her that time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
And you can learn something from anybody, man. I'm just really thankful of the men who were in my life that thought enough to take the time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hey, we are Culture Kings, guys. We want to thank you all for those who are viewing us. All right, spread the word on here, and as we talk about the current events and things that are going on from a leader's perspective. And yes, we are influential leaders in this culture, and we wear it proudly. We are Culture Kings, and you are a Culture King out there as well too.
Amen.
Okay.
That's right. And remember, people, with every word we speak, we try to give you an idea,
right?
For you to think about. This is just kingly talk. That's all it is.
Kingly talk. Yes. So if you got any questions or comments, or you want to interject during the dialogue, feel free. Okay, we will see it. We love the technology out there. So we want to get right into it. With our first order of discussion. So I guess we're going to start off with white blessings. So yeah. Hey, here comes the other king there. Yeah, King William III.
King William III.
Yes, it's the first, actually.
Oh yeah, the first.
First of his name.
First, yeah.
What's up, fellas? How y'all?
Good,
bro.
Great.
Yes.
Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Day to all of you gentlemen.
I appreciate
you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Likewise. All right. Well, here we go. We're gonna play this clip, and then we'll get into it right here.
White people do, and we say that was bad, but we miss the blessing of slavery, that it actually built up the framework for the world that white people live in
Yes.
and lived in. And so a lot of people call this white privilege. And when you say those two words, it just is like a fuse goes off for a lot of white people because they don't want somebody telling them to check their privilege. And so I know that you and I both have struggled in these days with, hey, if the phrase is trip up, let's get over the phrase and let's get down to the heart.
Sure.
Let's get down to what then do you want to call it? And I think maybe a great thing for me is to call it white blessing, that I'm living in the blessing of the curse that happened generationally that allowed me to grow up in Atlanta. And, you know, you're talking about being 57. If you were 57, I can't imagine being that old, Dan, and being 57. But I've said to our church, Lecrae, a few weeks ago, when I was born, the day I was born on Boulevard at Georgia Baptist Hospital in 1958, Black people did not have equal rights in this city. Not my grandparents' lifetime or their lifetime, in my life. In the curse.
All right. Yes. And there we have it. White blessings. Okay. Man, where do we begin on that? Well, first of all, real quick shout out to Carlos. Yes, sir. Hey, Big Los. I told you.
Big Los.
Yes. Black coach.
And before we even get into that one too, I definitely want to say this too. We're gonna talk about coaches too, Lo. So we definitely need to hear your perspective on that, because what I want to talk about after this one, if we even get to that point, I want to talk about football in particular.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh,
all right, awesome.
Football.
So white blessings. What do y'all think? So I know I was pretty much offended by that comment, and I was also offended with Lecrae's response or lack of response of it. And I know some people have made excuses, that, well, he was caught up in the moment or something. Well, we really don't know that. Okay. I mean, that sounds good, but I believe you have to be ready at all times. And the only reason why I say that, for the fact is, from one of his last albums, he made Welcome to America. So he's already been on that social consciousness about it. So it's like, here's your great opportunity to speak up. But yeah, I digress. Go ahead. Next one.
I see y'all bubbling over, so I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and speak.
Well, I'm gonna say this: the entire conversation, we're not listening to the entire conversation. We're listening to a snippet.
Sample.
All right, so we listened to a sample. But
back and listen to most of it though.
You did. Right. So that particular point, he spoke about slavery being a white blessing for the framework of where we are today. But where's the blessing for Black people? Where's the blessing for current Black people from where that stemmed from? And if he goes from the curse to the blessing, he's basically saying that white people have a privilege, and there are certain things that Black people universally do that white people don't have to consider. And those blessings that he talks about are not, it's not universally equal. And because it's not universally equal, it was disrespectful to say that without considering that slavery was not just one type of person. It's two. It was the oppressor and the oppressed.
Right.
And of course, we know that there were Black slave owners as well as white slave owners. But what he was speaking particularly to was the white privileges that were afforded because of slavery. I just want to throw that out there.
All right. Cool. Go ahead, Ron or Will, either one.
Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, I'll just say I probably have a common theme throughout this whole conversation. And what came to me as I was just sort of looking at certain articles, viewing videos like this, is that America needs a psychiatrist. America needs a psychiatrist. Okay. America, I mean, we need a psychiatrist, just the way that the system is going. Pastor DeGiglio, I think he tried to explain what white privilege was to white people who don't want to acknowledge they have those privileges. But what he did was ultimately what he was trying to do, being a pastor, probably, being like a word of faith or what do you call it, charismatic pastor, he was probably trying to find something positive in slavery. But there is nothing positive in slavery. I mean, it's straight up demonic and cruel, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what he was trying to do. So now when I watched it the first time, and I saw that he did come back and do a sincere apology, but I believe what he said it from a sincere heart.
I agree.
And I don't think he really said it to be offensive.
Right.
I think he just was like, hey, I want to find a way to angle this to where my people can understand. I don't want to come off racist. I don't want to come off offensive to black people, but he did. And that's where the scripture said there's safety in a multitude of counselors. Before he got up on a platform like that, he should have actually met with some counselors. He should have had some people to say, hey, I got this idea about white blessing. Let me run this across y'all and see how, see what you think about it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and that's kind of like my thoughts on it. But, and back to my theme where I said America needs a psychiatrist. I believe, as far as Lecrae, I think he responded in such a way to where we've been psychologically trained to respond.
Right.
And the pastor spoke in a way in which he was psychologically trained to respond. So my biggest thing with Lecrae was, I mean, if he would have at least did this instead of and the laugh, I'm like, okay, you cool. You know what I'm saying? But it was like, yes, and you nod your head, yeah, but that's probably what he was trained to do psychologically, subconsciously on that level of a platform. You see what I'm saying?
All right.
And that's kind of like where I'm coming. But one thing I peeped that I didn't really hear anything anybody else say. The guy, Dan Cathy, the Chick-fil-A CEO,
he said no.
Dan said it. He was like, he was looking down like this. It's like he didn't even want to look up. Say white blessing.
Right.
He already knew, like, oh man.
Yeah.
I gotta do something to clean this up.
Yeah. But now, and also to keep in mind what Dorian said, whenever we see anything in media, of course it is edited, so we don't know the whole conversation. We just gotta go on what we see, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
All right, cool. Hey, go ahead, Ron, with your response.
Yeah. His futile attempt to explain this, it came off to me like when he got through, he said it like that's supposed to make it okay for us. Like once he said it was a blessing because he said we miss the blessing of slavery. So then you say, we're gonna change the wording of this. So instead of privilege, because you listen to his context, he said it's semantics. People are getting caught up on the terminology. So if that's the problem, let's just change it up. Let's call it white blessing. And I was like, he was like, so we was blessed. This is his words of the generational, the made up generational curse of your people. We received white blessing from that. And he said it's like we were supposed to be okay with it. Like when he said this, we're like, oh, That's why we were slaves. Man, that fixes everything for me right now. So you guys got blessed.
Right. You guys got blessed. Again. Okay, yeah, I think he done froze up. So if you all want to join the conversation, I think those who have already commented, feel free to go ahead on. All right, we'll be talking about several different other topics as well as we move forward. Hey, yeah, guys, y'all check your Wi-Fi. So, and if you can, if you have an Ethernet cord, stick it in your router because you can get a stronger signal with that. Okay, all right. So so we talk about white blessings, and we're just waiting on the rest of them to come on back. And so, anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, just talking in general, man, just about, like I said, my theme is America needs a psychiatrist, man, because this was like a typical situation. I mean, I was trying to put myself in Lecrae's shoes in that situation, and my heart kind of goes out for him. I mean, it's big of a platform he has as far as like in our circles, people who love Christian hip hop and things like that. Lecrae is dang. But I think that's exactly what Los put, the miseducation of the Negro made him respond that way.
Correct.
And I think we do it sometimes subconsciously, man. He was on a big platform with some white men that, quote unquote, was of authority in the faith, that had status.
Right.
He was probably in a position to help his ministry and to help his career.
Correct.
And to disagree with them on a certain way could jeopardize a lot for him.
Right.
However, I think he missed the opportunity because ultimately, I think the gentleman brought him on so that he could disagree because they're trying to learn. You know what I'm saying? Like, many people are trying to learn. They don't know what we feel as Black America, but they're open to learn and have the conversations about it now. So I think we need to be prepared if we get those opportunities to get on those platforms. You got to be prepared to speak, man. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
On a platform like that, man, I'm gonna say you can't drop the ball, but I'm just like, man, it's a lot of people riding on that conversation, man, in a simple direction. I mean, I understand if you couldn't really say nothing, you couldn't find the words, but while he was speaking this, the body language was saying, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I know in his heart, I strongly believe in his heart that he disagreed.
Right.
But he was just in that position, man. That was a high pressure position. You know what I'm saying? And I love Lecrae. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, yo, he broke down under pressure, man.
See, I'm gonna go to the other end of that and just say this is that even under pressure, you as a Black person have a responsibility way before. Right. Way before you even get onto that, you have to be prepared to be 51% ready to disagree.
There you go.
You have to be ready, because if you don't, just like you were saying earlier, Will, and everything that you have said, man, has been spot on, because we have to have a readiness to respond to something that we don't agree with. The conditions that have happened to us. And when I say us, I'm not just talking about Black men. I'm talking about Black women. I'm talking about white men, white women. We have been conditioned to believe that if we don't agree, we're going to lose out on something.
Right.
We have spoken within our own circle, man, and I strongly believe this, that if Lecrae would have said something other than the shaking of his head and let it bypass, he would have blew up. He would have had his second wave. He would have had the second wave because he would have been representing for a culture. He would have been representing for people who look like him, who have been marginalized, because Kirk Franklin has nothing to lose, right? Franklin went at TBN. I mean, what was it? TBN, right?
Yeah.
He went against that because he was like, there's no way that if I'm just an artist, he wasn't even thinking about him being black. He was like, look, if I'm just an artist and I'm just trying to put out music and you gonna cut me out, I don't need it. I don't need it. and look, we and this is not about separating from anybody. This is just being bold enough to say, I don't need the disrespect to the point where it's going to disrespect the people that look like me.
Well, and a lot of that comes from confidence. We have to have confidence in who we are, in the God that we serve, because he reigns on both of us. All right, we're all made in his image. And so we look at what somebody else might have, a bigger platform and the financial means to help us in our career. So we don't want to, jeopardize that because we're trying to go somewhere. But the reality is we got the same type of ability to create them platforms. We just have to pull our resources together and make it work. All right, so all the credit.
Back. That's a whole fact.
Exactly, Lo.
That's all he had to say. What? Huh?
Yeah.
And see, and Ron, before you say anything, I also want to say this too. Lecrae was on there, and somebody already said that he got his influence through the Christian
through the CCM crowd.
CCM crowd, right?
Yeah, that's what
right.
The thing is, Lecrae, as he said it, he didn't have the belief that black people supported him, because you know what I mean? Because like if he would have believed that the people that he represents or who he looks like was really listening, he didn't even know that we was paying attention to that until he fell for the buffoonery. He fell for the okie doke, and now all of a sudden he even in his apology, my man went straight to I thank you, Black Queens, because he knew he had to get disowned by the black woman first, because he knew that the men were gonna follow. And it's just like how we basically been raised. Wow. Let my mama say something. My mama say something. It's a problem because daddy don't have to say nothing.
Wow.
Dad don't have to say nothing.
Another issue in itself.
There's another issue.
Yeah.
But that he fails to recognize that black people are supporting him.
Yeah. And
he fell for the okie doke.
And not only supported him, I'm looking at us. We artists. You got DJs. We're influenced by him.
That's a whole fact.
I was influenced after the music stopped. You know what I'm saying? I'm influenced by things he put out. So when I see Cray, I'm seeing a cat that walks in my craft fully. You know what I'm saying? Has the same conviction spiritually that I have. And then he looks like me. So then he has the same conviction physically that I have to deal with. So when I see him at this table, you know what I'm saying? He's representing more than just himself. And that's things that as kings, we have to be mindful of.
Right.
Because the king represents all his people. That's why they come out in all their splendor. What they mean, they representing their king, they representing the people. The king can't be looking shabby. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He got to look the road, he got to talk the road, he got to walk in the road. So when I see this brother at this table with a grand opportunity, and and like I told you guys earlier, it wasn't so much of what I can't even, what's his name? Gigolo? Just Gigolo? What is it? Gigolo? I wasn't really offended with him as much as I was with Lecrae affirming everything he was saying.
Right.
I told y'all, I'm looking at him like, bro, what is you humming about? Like, stop this. Like, I'm waiting for anyone like, hey, man, brother, let's cut this.
Because I understood where Giglio was coming from. I saw him as trying to explain to
don't give him no
white people.
He was out of pocket.
No, he was. But I'm just saying the way that he got out of pocket, I think he really had a sincere heart. But that just shows you the disconnect there. You know what I'm saying? And just the lack of just not knowing and really understanding what we're going through to even try to equate that to a blessing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm 57 years old.
That's a whole fact.
Man.
That's what you know, like we talk about the psychologists and the psychiatrists, but that dude, he freestyled that. Yeah, because he went beyond measure. He went beyond measure. He was as soon as he started to turn the curve and he started talking about some white blessing, then he tried to, he tried to fill that in, was like, well, I'm 57 years old and I was in Atlanta and white people and black people didn't have the right to do such and such. You knew that you was off the cliff early. He knew he was off the cliff early, and so then he was trying to wind it back. And intent, we can talk about intent after the fact, or like where we believe he was, but we can't. We are talking about where he was in that particular moment. As it said to me, you can't put toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
I
want to ask y'all a question. So the pastor Giglio, based on that response and what you saw, do you think that he is a racist?
That's tough.
Yeah.
I would say that he was. I would say that he is. He was misinformed. But his tone has some racial tendencies.
Gotcha. He has some racial tendencies.
He got some racial tendencies.
Race-ish.
Yeah, he got some race-ish.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say the fact is okay, if you know better, then you would do better. And yeah, I can't say that he is racist or so unless he comes out and say it, because I want to accuse somebody. But the fact is, okay, if from here on out, all right, what the deal is. Go. Matter of fact, this is the perfect time to help educate people like him on African American history, because there's a lot of adults, I'm talking about black adults that never knew about Juneteenth because they didn't go to school.
Man, right? And that's something else too, man. There's so many people who posted it was just talking about we never learned that in school.
Right.
In school.
Yeah. I learned about Juneteenth from Dorian when I met him when I moved to North Carolina.
That's cool.
Juneteenth.
Really?
Wow. Like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? I never heard of it.
And the only reason I knew about it was because my dad said, "Look it up."
Wow. Yeah, Simone. I don't know. I mean, if the race ever gonna come out and say it, well,
they say it. Yeah, they say it. Yeah, they say it.
They'll show it too.
Yeah, they say it. A racist will say that, and they'll say it in several ways.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say all lives matter because they don't consider what the meaning of Black Lives Matter movement is, because they're looking at words, not content.
Agreed.
And that's a big problem. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with saying white privilege. We're not saying that you have any more than what I have. That's not what we're talking about. But like, if you just look at the term white and privilege, you would think that we're saying that you have more than. No, what we're saying is that you have an opportunity to go and do and be and not have to think about where you are and what you do and what you be. Like, I had to tell my friend, I was like, look, if I go somewhere, let's say if I go to the mountains, a black person and a white person goes to the mountains, my mindset is going to be different than my white friend.
Yeah,
I'm going to be thinking about, I got to make sure that we don't do anything that's going to make that person who I'm assuming doesn't think that I belong here say something. See, that's a privilege that white people don't have. You can go anywhere. Even when I go to Disney World, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got to think about, like, we got to act a certain kind of way. We're going to enjoy ourselves, but we can't go now. But if I go to Freaknik, that's a little bit different.
Hey, comments real quick, man. Hey, very, very, very good point. Tanya says, and if y'all don't know about Jane Elliott, definitely Google her. Racism is learned.
Yeah, Jane's good.
People have to learn racism, right? And all of them have learned it according to Jane. Yes, and a lot of them have been taught pretty much. I mean, that's what they grew up in. And then Simone says, it seems to me that most white people are more concerned with being called racist than with actually being racist.
Yeah,
I see that.
yeah.
I mean, that's why you wear a hood, right? That's why you wear hoods and sheets through the neighborhood rather than just come in and let me know that you're my judge and my clerk and my officer in my community, you know.
Hey, true. White privilege is the power of normal. They get the benefit of the doubt in everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And see, that goes back to the pastor, man. He has the opportunity to just shoot from the hip without thinking about the consequence. So like what we talking about right now is like, look, we have to be prepared. Look, you talking about just for like having a conversation, we got to be prepared with what we need to say. Whereas somebody else can just come off and just say whatever. I mean, even look at this. Like we had a conversation on Thursday to prepare us for Sunday.
Right.
Because we have to consider who's going to be listening. It's not about being offensive. It's just about talking about, the issues and the subject, right? And having a more of a dedicated thought. Because like Will, would you say that without like pausing and thinking about what it was that you could come up with the theme that America needs a psychologist? Can you come up with that right off the cuff?
I doubt it.
Because you was prepared for it. And see, and that's it. I feel like I'm overtaking the conversation, but I just want to say that like this is just the tip of the iceberg in regards to a lot of the frustrations. This is what you're seeing out in the street too. You're seeing people's full emotions bubble up because they're not prepared. When you see a person who has their Confederate flag and they want to talk about what it symbolizes and the history of it, and then you have somebody who wants to be in opposition of it, the only thing that they're really seeing is what it represents, not so much about like what are the underlying issues of that. Because like if that pastor would have thought about what he was saying in regards to white blessing, in regards to slavery, this is what, and somebody's already said it before. They said that he should have had other people that kind of bounce around, and this is something too that we have to do too.
Well,
when we talk about race, we need to have people not like us, because we're going to be coming from it from our perspective.
Right.
Where are the people who coming from the other side?
The whole point is we need to have these uncomfortable conversations, especially within the body of Christ. So that we can bring healing, because out of these conversations we're going to get solutions, I believe. All right. But if we don't talk about it, then things are still going to continue to be normal, and then we'll complain privately. But the fact is how bad do we want to see change?
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, that's awesome, man. How bad do you want to see?
You know what? I thought about this scripture just now when you said that, the scripture where it says, no discipline is pleasant at the time, but it produces like a righteous harvest.
Right.
Something that's necessary, it may be uncomfortable to begin, but once you get into it and you flow into it, it becomes more comfortable. So the conversations that we need to have it's uncomfortable to begin, but once we start getting into these conversations and we see the sincerity of everyone's heart, and we see that, okay, man, we have more in common than different. Once you see that people really love you, then those conversations become a little more, comfortable, or not as uncomfortable.
You're right.
Anyway, about black.
Oh man!
Wow. Part of that comment. I don't know if I.
Well, that I guess so. We think before we speak, and just you know. So
but Danny was on to a point right there.
Right.
It's almost like that movie in I think it was A Time to Kill.
Oh yeah.
When they was in the courtroom, and the lawyer, he painted this horrific picture about the child getting drugged and beaten and raped and to a pulp. And then he said, now imagine if she were white.
Right.
And then it flipped it. So maybe sometimes we have to paint this picture, this horrific picture, to get people to understand, and then flip the color scheme on it. You know what I'm saying? To really get that full understanding, man.
That's very good. Yep, exactly. I mean, again, it's not going to happen magically. All right. Yes, we do pray, which we should always do, but we have to also do something intentional, put some action, put some feet to our prayers, to our faith. All right? And we, black and white, we always say, "Oh yeah, let's just sit and pray about it." No. It's time out for all that. All right. I mean,
you already know what pray about it means.
That I don't want to deal with it. That's all that is.
So that was the prayer right there.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. I don't really want to deal with it. So again, we were talking about white blessings. So and prayerfully, like I say, he continues to want to see change and evoke change with his platform. But again, I'm sure there'll be some other situations that may come out of this, or somebody else may say something controversial, and we have to definitely address it. All right, and not be afraid to address things like this, because we are all important. We all have something to say. Now we want to switch gears, talk about white coaches and their influence on black athletes.
So I don't know if y'all paid attention to like what's going on like at Oklahoma State and Clemson, where there's a huge divide now, where the use of the term Black Lives Matter now, like Dabo Swinney was saying that his t-shirt said football matters, and then there was an NFL player who said that the coach called him an N-word when he was in college, and we have like this big divide between race and athletics. So we can be paid to entertain you, but then when it comes down to giving action to like you're saying, like putting your feet to action, where you have an athlete that will stand up on a platform to talk about social injustices, you don't want to hear that anymore. I mean, you got Bubba Watson in NASCAR, you have LeBron James in NBA, and of course you have several NFL players, and of course like the face of that is Colin Kaepernick. You have these athletes who want to have their say, they because they have the best platform, and that is on the field, on the basketball court, the baseball diamond, and now even the racetrack to bring up social awareness. And that is a fine line to where you can, between the people who pay and then those people who play. And you have the influence of those people who are quote unquote owners. I remember that Draymond Green said that the term owner, that it should be banned. Like it should be something else, because it's basically partners now. Because even though that there is ownership, that players run the league, but you'll have a white coach though that will be the face of the team, that will then talk with, encourage, embody that mentality to take over. And I said I wanted to mention that because Carlos has said earlier that black coaches don't get a lot of credit for being the men in a lot of these black athletes, and more than just black athletes. In little leagues, they are mentors, they are encouragers, they are influencers on the lives of those kids that they coach.
That is so true. Very true statement.
They're invested in them a lot of times. They, like, when you go back to little league and things like that, those men are really invested in those kids, man. They care about their home lives. To many kids, like a coach was a father figure.
Right.
the one who made sure they got certain meals and clothes for school. It was a lot that went on, man. So it wasn't just, hey, I'm gonna teach you how to be good at this sport. There's also some life skills that I want to teach you also.
Right, because a lot of those guys were from single parent homes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You hear the story again and again.
Right, surrogate fathers.
Surrogate fathers is a good name for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we definitely.
It takes a village. The old saying, it takes a village to raise a child, and they were just part of the village. But Dorian mentioned something about Draymond Green about as far as like the word owner should be banned. Do you think that that's because it's so closely related to like being a slave owner, or just the fact that, you know, he feel like we're doing so much that we're actually partners? Like, did he give any? You know, did he expound on that in him?
It's that statement right there, Ron Carlos. It's that statement right there.
Yeah.
So from little league all the way up to your professional leagues, you're gonna have somebody that's over it. So, like, you know, if any of y'all have been coaches, the one thing that's probably going to be like the most frustrating thing is that one coach is going to have the influence to be able to go out and draft players and get players to come play for his team, and then they be superstars and they crush everybody. Mm-hmm. But then you look at the owner of a team. Here it is, we're in 2020. We don't have one black owner in the NFL.
Nope.
Not one. Not one. Baseball, basketball. Who is our one owner? So you got minority owners, which is a good thing in the NBA. I think the NBA is at the forefront of diversity.
The team.
Yeah. So you got Jordan. Of course, you Sacramento that has like a diverse group. But for the most part, it is whitewashed, you know, no pun intended, with white men. I remember when they had the lockout for the NFL, and the owner for the Charlotte Panthers, Richardson, and he was disrespectful. He was out of pocket. He told Peyton Manning, he was like, "Have you ever seen the spreadsheet, son?" So here it is. You got an athlete. You got an athlete that's coming up trying to, you know, be the face of the teams and the players, and the owner is already giving him heat for it. So yes, so I to answer your question, I think that there's a visual simulation that Draymond Green has brought up to the forefront in regards to players and the owners of the team. Because I mean, like you get into like that, you know, let me dance for you, you know, let me smile for you, you know, let me do that for you. And then when you don't want to do that, look at what happens. And we're all like, you know, in our own way, sports fanatics. When the player is doing the best, and then the owner has the ultimate decision to say, I don't want him. I want somebody else.
That's right.
He will trade him.
Right.
Put emphasis on trade.
As you know, as black men or black people, man, we're known for entertaining, you know, and which is like which is great, but you know, we have to excel in other areas, which I know that are out there, you know what I'm saying? And absolutely. Leadership, on, you know, partnership, whatever, you know, because now you got me thinking about that ownership.
Yeah.
You know, again,
hey, even if you entertain, own your entertainment, whatever role, you know, that you're entertaining in, make sure you have some type of ownership in it, you know.
You know, but again, hey, if y'all want to join in on the conversation, thank y'all so much. All right, with this Culture Kings show here, talking about just having a discussion among kings, and hey, you know, we don't neglect you queens out there too. All right, we'll get to y'all later, dog. You know, we're all focusing on us as a male leadership here. You know, we want to influence, be a catalyst for change. All right, and know the power that's within us. Hey, yeah, go ahead, Ron. Stop, man. You got something on there too?
Just thinking about what you guys are saying, you know, when you look at athletes or any celebrity or anyone with a platform, it's up to you to maximize your platform and your brand. and take ownership of that. If we're gonna use the word owner, you can take ownership of that, but it comes at a price for a lot of these guys. You know what I'm saying? Like when you start speaking up about issues and things that are more important to you, that might not be important to the owners or to the league, or might not be. It's just too political, too much in the middle. They don't want to deal with those things, and so there's repercussions. Because I'm thinking, what was the running back that played for the Redskins that came out to you, Ron? Was it Portis? Clinton Portis? Yeah. See, I don't know if some of you guys remember, but I recall when the thing went down with Mike Vick initially, and they interviewed Clinton Portis, and Clinton reported his response was like, "These dogs, man." He was like, "It's dogs." He like, y'all gonna pretty much do a witch hunt on this guy for some dogs. and Peter went crazy. Well, and a few hours later, he was doing a press conference. And a whole lot of PC. That's political correction. You know what I'm saying? But I felt that hurt me because he was the one voice that was standing beside Mike. You know what I'm saying? And so you could just it would have been interesting had you had more voices, more people throwing their weight behind him. Correct. You know what I'm saying? But once they saw that, okay, yeah, man, this dog thing is serious. Stay away from that. And they kind of just left him out there by himself, man. And that was a situation where I felt like you didn't maximize your platform. You know what I'm saying? Not to your benefit or to anyone else's benefit. You kind of just like, I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna keep my money.
I'm gonna take my ball and go home.
Okay,
you know,
because eventually it's gonna end up hurting you later on. So you know, if we don't address the problem, you know, I guess that's like I said, economic empowerment. That's another issue, man. That you know we definitely got to do better because it's fear that's gripping us. Fear that's gripping us from speaking out on injustices. I mean, that's what I believe.
But how, like, where do we start, man? Like a person like ourselves, like where do we get the education to even know where to begin and how to start really taking this ownership and building up these platforms and all of these things? Like, you know, we're talking about entertainers and athletes, people who may make millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But like for the average person who may be on the call or may be watching, like, you know, where do we begin? Like, what do we do? Like, you know, what are the steps that we need to take to really, really have ownership and start coming together and empower ourselves and others economically, you know?
Glad you asked.
We need to be on that. Yeah. Okay. What you got, bro?
In the world that we live in, the bottom line is that everyone has a platform now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a celebrity can reach further, but we all have a platform. Your Facebook page, your IG page, your Twitter page, we all have platforms now. That's your voice. You have influence. If your influence isn't but 3 followers that like everything you post, you know what I'm saying? You might take that for granted, but you know what I'm saying? That's rich. Someone's influence, someone's been impacted by you. So then that's ownership. That's ownership right there. You have a platform. Quiet Storm, William Stokes has a platform. Dorian Edwards has a platform. DJ Ron has a platform. I have a platform. Now, do I take advantage of it? Do I maximize it? I probably don't. We kind of take these things for granted. You know what I'm saying? And influence or what we can do with what we have, you know. And so that's why it's easy to point fingers at other people who we feel like, oh man, if he would say something that would cause so much change. Well, hey man, you can make a difference. And so what you're saying, where do you start? You start in the mirror, Quiet Storm. That's where it starts at. You start in the mirror, looking at you. What can I do? Because believe it or not, we all can do something.
Well, I like what Simone said. Start educating ourselves about money and how it works. And
amen.
A lot of platforms don't know how money works.
Well, you know what? The toughest thing is that you also have to have results. I mean, you can, we can, and what Simone is saying, I want to add on, start educating ourselves about money and how it works and have results. Because no matter how much good you say, people for the most part don't believe you until they actually see what they consider to be success from what you're saying. Like if think about I remember there were these pyramid schemes like in the early 90s.
I was just thinking about that.
But consider this though, man. One of those pyramid schemes was a calling card, and that calling card turned into Spectrum.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And it's the results, and it for those people who jumped on, like, and when we talk about educating ourselves on how money and how it works, and I'm adding on and show results. When we start talking about, first getting out of debt, using cash, because your credit is your access to everything. Your credit score is your access to everything. You got pretty good credit, you're gonna get some pretty good deals. You got pretty bad credit, you're gonna get some pretty bad deals. You're gonna pay more.
Yeah.
But we don't see that though, because as long as we get what we consider to be the thing, most of us don't look at the bottom line. And so like that education part also has to be results. When we start to show people that a lower interest rate puts more money back into your pocket, and they can actually see it, so they can spend it on something else, like life insurance, as opposed to another car, then it starts to make sense. And so to add on to what Ron says, it is looking in the mirror, but it's also working to get results.
But that's where discipline comes in though on the individual.
Correct.
Okay. And there are some examples out there, but what separates a successful person from a lazy person is, again, the lazy person is not going to put in the work.
Right.
Work ethic.
Yeah, work ethic is the main point. And so that has to be something instilled in them. I mean, you can't help a drowning man, you know what I'm saying? Because he's going to end up pulling you down as well. So
yeah, you got to knock him out though. Yo, like what you gotta do? You gotta knock him out so both of y'all don't die. You trying to say
That's right?
You gotta knock him out.
Right. Exactly. Say get out of and not dependency on exactly. Simone.
Yo, Simone is in her bag right now. Shout out to Simone Henry. She is in her bag right now. She's in her bag. Salute you, because everything that you've been posting out there has been on point. On point.
Delay gratification, delay pleasure, I mean, seriously, we need to look to the future rather than right. Well, and again, but that's on the individual. I guess those of us who may have that mindset, as you say, Dorian, let's be that example there. Let's show the results.
Yeah, for sure. But see, and now I'm gonna pat all of y'all on the back because I know that each one of you have done this. When you've gotten your result, you've gone back and pulled somebody up with you. And see, and that's the other part about what if it was taught in school. And case in point, I'm gonna say this one point, and then I'm gonna talk about what Los just said. So it's important that we go back to those places where we know that people are struggling to help them come up to where they can be.
Right.
If we can teach them how to fish, they're gonna eat for a lifetime, right?
Exactly.
If because someone paved the way for us, and someone came back for us and gave us the tools necessary to be successful in our own lane. All right. Now, what Los said though, I'm gonna give you a real world example. What if it was taught in school as part of the required learning? How about this? So I do internships for a area university. And one of the things that I saw is that in the field that I do, it's not a lot of jobs in it, but there are ample opportunities to be able to create businesses because there are needs. There are needs all the time. And so I contacted the university and said, hey, what are your thoughts on starting an entrepreneurial class within the degree? Because I tell the interns who come to me, like, hey, what are your thoughts about starting your own business? And you know what the hardest thing about starting your own business is? Starting your own business. It's the hardest thing. That's
and
the
the easiest thing. It's the hardest and the easiest thing.
Hardest and the easiest.
Wow. Interesting. What?
Oh, y'all in y'all bag today, baby.
Man, this is very invigorating. So all this knowledge here, because that's what we're here for, to pay it forward and to also to drop knowledge. So hopefully it'll be a catalyst for somebody out there to spark change in their community or in their lives. But again, you can only help people who really want help. You know what I'm saying? And it is going to be tough at times. It will be tough. Yes, sir. Thank you, Danny. Yes, Freak Nick. Yeah. Dave.
Danny. What's up, Danny?
Culture Kings right here. Man, what's the name of the show anyways? What, just roundtable discussion 3.
Yeah, we just talking it up, man. We just
Royal Rhetoric, episode 3, baby.
Okay, coming soon.
It up. It's Royale. It's Royale.
Okay. Do we have another topic real quick? Well, we got 3 minutes or so. We want to thank y'all so much for being a part of what we do here. We're looking to do this every Sunday.
Yeah, please come back. Y'all comments was on fire.
Yeah, that's a whole fact. And Los, big shout out for just supporting, bro. Like that's a whole thing right there. Everybody who came in and listened, and
that's the
man. That's so dope of y'all.
Hey, man. Again, hey, look, I'm looking to doing some great things with you all, and look, let's just be intentional, guys. Seriously,
right.
My biggest fears is the pain of regret or the fear of
tough. Yeah.
So seriously, hey, fellas, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, just my parting words. Just my parting words. I would stress to not only the people who are listening, but for every person that we come into contact with, is that we share this with them, and that is to actively shape your own destiny. Actively shape your own destiny. When we are doing that, the more that you increase in knowledge, it should benefit you in some way. It shouldn't just be for the benefit of you knowing something. It really should be so much so that it impacts you in a spiritual way, a financial way, in an association way, in a friendship way, to where you are becoming a permanent fixture in that model of influence. Actively shape your own destiny.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, Ron. Yeah. You're very.
Yeah, I piggyback on him and say, and work the ground that you've been given. We got, the brother mentioned something about opportunities. We got opportunities right where we are. Business 101 is about problem solving. Something irritates you or something worrying you. If you see something that you feel like needs to be fixed or a part of the system that will make it work smoother, that's your calling. That's your business. That's the thing you need to set your hands to and work that ground, man.
Oh man. Yeah. All right, Williams. Quiet storm.
Hey man, the Kings have spoken. It's sealed, man. They sealed it up.
Sealed.
Just soak up what they said and keep it moving, man. They sealed it.
There you go. Yeah.
Be careful with that seal. The devil had the sum of wisdom sealed up in him. Be careful with that, man.
You're right.
Remember, you matter in the kingdom of God, so don't compare yourself or your ministry to anyone else. Just do what God has called you to do. All right, and you'll be just fine. Okay. What's going on, Mr. GP? Exactly. Praise God for you. Awesome. Yes, you artists. Hey, you got the power. Oh, you real quick. I want to say, I did a live, and again, you artists out there, if you're watching, you have the opportunity to help make change, make some songs related towards social changes or social issues. That's how you can get folks involved in your music and who you are as an artist. All right, exactly. So with every word we speak, hey, we give others an idea for sure, because we are the culture kings, baby. We are culture kings. You are a culture king, just like you all you culture queens out there. Remember that.
I appreciate you, Danny.
The royal family.
Yeah.
Royal family, the whole royal family, the kids.
Whole royal family.
Whole royal family. All right. Well, God bless y'all. We'll see you again next week. Hey, join the page. All right. Women can join our page too, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
It's for the royal family.
All right. So hey, if you're a part of the royal family, hey, come on and join Culture Kings. Yes, bro.
Hey, you said it. I was thinking it. I was thinking.
What Low said. Taking right out the mouth for run right there, ain't it?
But look, and before we get off, yo, like that right there, how many of us were thinking that? Don't be whack. Don't be whack. Don't be whack.
Because Ron won't play you.
Nah.
He won't play you if it's whack.
With your music, it's whack.
Yo. Oh man.
Come join me in timeout.
Yeah, y'all, for real.
Oh boy. Oh, don't be whack. Oh,
because we got a lot of great artists out there. But again, look at you. You're in competition with folks. You're a king. You're a queen. Put out some great content that's not whack. Okay.
Hey man, somebody bring the bars back. That's next week. Somebody bring the bars back.
All right,
raise the bars, baby.
Y'all gonna make me get back in the booth.
Sound like a child.
Hey, we waiting on that. Yeah, we waiting.
Chocolate, yeah.
Chocolate goodness.
Chocolate goodness.
Yeah.
I like it. That's a t-shirt.
Okay.
That's a t-shirt.
No disrespect to the light skins. It just worked out like that.
Chocolate blessing.
Chocolate.
Chocolate blessing. Hey, I'm telling you, idea right there. Exactly. Chocolate. You know,
you get on that copyright early.
Hey, you better get
on that copyright early.
Your stuff. Copyright stuff. Man.
I'm calling salvation now.
Yeah. We got to jump on that.
Yeah, we got to jump on that right now.
The kids got to take ownership of that first.
It's nice. Seriously, man. Let's support one another, y'all. Hey, good quality customer service and good music for sure.
For sure.
Chocolate goodness.
Yeah.
Chocolate goodness with almonds in it, right? Yeah.
Oh, here we go. DJ Ron out of pocket.
Well, see, the blessings was.
See how quick that can happen?
Exactly.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. I hate to leave, but next week, hey, we'll see y'all. Y'all be blessed. All right. And go join our Facebook page, Culture Kings. We got some great.
Share the info.
That's right. Women are invited as well too. Hey, love you. Hey, on and take it, bro. Hey,
we know where it came from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Los, we ain't those saints that won't sue you, though. We're not those kind of saints, man. We will see you in court. Where have our day in court, Big Los?
Yeah. Man, all right, y'all. Hey, y'all hold on the line and everything. Okay.
All right.
God bless you.
Stay well, folks.
Peace out.
Stay healthy.
Stay healthy. Stay blessed. Exactly. Yep. Culture Kings.